Hey everybody, I'm Ethan.
And I'm Jesse.
And today, we don't really have a review for you. Today, we're putting some of our bikes to test in the snow.
Next on Now Let's Review.
So I went out and packed down a track in the front yard so that we could put some of our bikes to the test when it comes to acceleration, steering, overall control in the snow, because we want to see how do these bikes do if you're going to ride them in the winter.
And I mean, this video was mostly for fun. I don't think that a lot of the findings that we have were that scientific, but it does kind of show just sort of generally how different bikes are going to handle in different conditions.
So the Ariel X-Class 52 volt is the fastest, quickest accelerating bike that we have, so it was no surprise to me that this was also the fastest in the snow. It did have a little bit of trouble when it came to steering, but that ended up being the case with all the bikes. The front tire would kind of plow through the snow, but once I got the hang of how it rode, I was still able to get around the corners, and yeah, putting the power down was not that much of a challenge, although because it has so much power, the back tire would still spin out sometimes, so I ended up drifting a little bit. But I mean, overall, I would say it was a decently fast bike in the snow compared to the other ones. The Unimog was very disappointing. It was extremely underpowered, it couldn't get any good acceleration in the snow, and the tires didn't grip the snow well enough to turn or steer at all with any stability. So overall, that was an unpleasant experience riding that bike in the snow.
Go! Oh, it's so slow!
The Hemiway was a bit surprising to me. I thought because of how big this bike is and how big and wide the tires were that it would pretty much just float over the snow, and I don't know if that happened or not, but it did not handle the snow very well at all. The front tire basically just plowed straight through the snow. You could barely steer that bike. It had an alright amount of power. It could still go forward, but turning in the snow and actually steering was a very big challenge with that bike.
Go.
And so we decided to test the Hyper Scorpion purely because I knew how ridiculous it was going to be. It basically has slick tires and it's one of the most powerful bikes that we have. So I had zero expectations for this bike to do well in the snow, and it certainly lived up to those low expectations because as soon as I hit the throttle, the back tire was spinning, front tire wouldn't grip at all, it didn't steer. It took well over double the amount of time for that bike to get around the track than the other ones did. So that was about as ridiculous as I hoped it would be.
Let this be a lesson in physics.
And I think that this might be the most important learning that we took from this video. A lot of the bikes that we have are kind of mountain bike knobby tire things, and they had fairly decent grip in the snow. I don't think that most of the time, if you're gonna be, oh no, this part of the sidewalk isn't shoveled, what am I going to do? You're gonna wanna go a little bit more carefully. You're not gonna be going like, how fast can I get through this section? But yeah, once we came to the Hyper Scorpion, and this will be the case with pretty much any bike that has smooth-ish looking tires, you're gonna have no traction. And that means, honestly, it's gonna be pretty dangerous. On top of the danger of just riding in the snow in general, you're gonna have basically no traction when it comes to braking, acceleration, turning, preventing yourself from falling over. You're gonna do that thing that you see people on, riding bikes on ice do, where the bike's gonna slip out from underneath them. And if you're not ready for that, you could definitely get hurt. So that's probably the biggest takeaway, is that smooth tires don't play well in the snow. So after we did all of our tests, I wanted to go back and try some again, this time with letting some of the air out of the tires. I had heard, I don't know where I heard it from, that if you let air out of the tires, you get much better traction on loose surfaces like snow, sand, and that sort of thing. So I was like, great, this is the perfect time to let the air out of the tires, try it out. What were the results?
The X-Class was insanely fast in the snow when we let air out of the back tire. Like, having that tire be able to compress more and allow for more surface area on the snow, just let it hook up like it was just on pavement. And that thing really surprised me. It just took off in a straight line when we let the air out of the tires. Still had trouble steering because it is snow, it's very slippery, but I mean, it was able to accelerate out of the corners way faster than it was with a full tire. So I was very impressed by the results of that.
And so overall, do you think recommending, if you're gonna be doing quite a bit of snow e-biking, you let some air out of the tires?
I think so. I think especially out of the back tire, since that's your powered wheel, you want to have that motor be able to actually put down power and get traction. So I think having less air in the back tire is going to be a big help. Also, taking air out of the front tire will do the same kind of thing. You'll have more surface area, so more traction. Although I do think if you leave more air in the front tire, it's not as big a deal as letting air out of the back tire.
All right, so after I saw you do a couple of these tests, I was like, I think I'm going to absolutely be able to put Ethan to shame. So I tried multiple different bikes to try and out-race you. And I don't know if I don't have the experience. I don't know. I couldn't get it to work anywhere near as well as you could.
To be fair, the first race we did, I had the X-Class and you had the Hemiway. The X-Class, again, is the fastest bike we have, so it was no surprise to me that I was going to just leave you in the dust with that bike. And yeah, I mean, I know you had a little wipeout on one of the first turns in the race on that first lap, and it is slick. It's hard to steer. And the Hemiway doesn't do you any favors because it just does not do that well in the snow. And then we decided to swap. So you took the X-Class and I took the Hemiway. And I know that when we first started the race, you were out ahead of me because the X-Class could just go way faster. But what happened after that? You kind of went off the track a little bit?
I was so happy with the speed, and then I went to turn, and I'm used to turning, I'll be honest. I'm used to having some degree of motion, and there was none. Also, just the fact that you have to, like, I'm used to kind of driving in the snow with my car. We live in New England. I know when I'm losing traction. I know what I can do to kind of put the car where I want it to go. But with the bike, as soon as you lose traction, it's not just like, here we go. You're going, I'm falling over. So I have an idea, though.
Okay.
I think that e-biking in the snow could be made a lot more fun if you wear a pair of skis. Don't think about pedaling. In fact, pull the pedals off the bike. Hop on some skis, because then you can kind of be planted, and then this is just kind of your sled dog, so to speak.
Yeah.
And you're off to the races like that.
That would be interesting, and I think we can definitely try that. I will say, I think I did have an advantage over you no matter what, because I just have more experience on two wheels, I think. I grew up riding dirt bikes, so I'm used to riding motorcycles on loose surfaces where you don't have a lot of traction, so my instincts there definitely kicked in and helped me. I will say, though, riding on loose surfaces on a vehicle that has pedals is really difficult because the pedals can move around. You don't have a solid place to like plant your feet and keep them sturdy. And also, no matter what, one foot is always out in front of the other, so your center of balance is a little bit off. On a dirt bike or any kind of motorcycle, your foot pegs are both centered the same distance forward and backward, and they don't move. So you can really keep your weight where you want it and kind of plant yourself down. That helps a lot with control.
All right, so we did all these tests, and I think I have an idea. We have an all-wheel drive bike, scooter, I don't know what to call it. We have a Voro Motors Roadrunner. This is a all-wheel drive, technically, bike, scooter thing. You sit on it. It doesn't have any pedals. So I thought, check, this is gonna be great. Nice and low to the ground, so if I need to stabilize, that'll be good. Both wheels are powered. And it has more power than I think most of the bikes that we're dealing with. And we tried it. Fat tire has its advantages, I think is the one thing to take away from that.
Please go. Go.
I really thought that it would go, and it didn't go the way I thought it was going to.
That could be due to the fact that it has kind of slick tires and they're also very narrow, like you said. I don't think the narrow tires cutting straight through the snow is really helping when you're trying to like float over it and turn and stuff. It was fun to watch, I will say that. From a third person perspective, it was entertaining. And if nothing else, we did that for you, So
for the Alaskans watching, you're welcome for us doing a test in conditions. Obviously, there's a million different types of snow. We had a particular track that we tested it on. This was not fluffy powder. This was not slushy. I would say it was a happy medium.
Yeah, I tried to pack it down as much as I could so that it would be more so that the track would stay there and not get worn down to grass, because I knew we'd be doing lots of laps on it. But yeah, we'd be happy to do future tests in different kinds of snow, get some powder, get some hard packed snow, slush, whatever it may be. We want to test these things out. If you like these kind of tests, let us know. We're happy to do more of these test videos. We want to do more than just reviews. We want to make other entertaining content. We will be doing a full review of the Voro Motors Roadrunner in the future, so make sure you subscribe so you will see when that video comes out, because you won't want to miss it. That's pretty fun.
It is. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for hitting the like button. Really helps the growth of this channel. It allows us to do more of these tests. I hope that they're helpful. I hope that this is informative, even if you never decide to take your e-bike out on the snow. That's completely fine. Don't think that I'm judging you if you decide not to, especially after watching this video. But thank you so much for being a part of our community. We'll see you next time. Now let's review.